Everything good must die.
Fighters, I mean zombies, I mean undead, oh, whatever. Rise!
I have to leave you now because I have to prepare something back home. But you hold the fort here. Got it? Good. Then take care of them.
With these heroic words, Grimly, the great dwarf king, took to his heels and ran. Some might think it coming.
Yes, the damn coward. But we'll get him and then we'll organize an intervention. We'll tear him a new one.
My goodness, what a turn of phrase. Outrageous. Still, it was a desire I can only agree with. Come on, for the validation-craving evil. And the good people's defensive camp went up in flames. The pitiful survivors ran in panic and dispersed in all directions.
Ha! Those cowards! See how they run! Isn't that funny?
It does have something comical about it. Even the zombies emitted a laughing moan before pushing on to get some tasty brains before the others did.
If you weren't any slower, you'd be going backwards!
Now it is time to find Grimly and give him his rightful punishment.
What rightful punishment?
Oh, rightful or not, what do I care? As long as the dwarf suffers!
The lands of Ashspring were wholly under the crazed evil's control. Every now and then, a confused zombie would pop up, even though the living had already been driven out. But that didn't matter, for the absolute evil's hordes set out for Steelsmith, King Grimly's headquarters. The Battle of Steelsmith. Led by Thalya, the brutal evil's army had reached the dwarven town of Steelsmith and made ready to storm it. Inside, the fierce dwarven King Grimly planned its defense.
All right, you lazy buggers, get ready. That evil horde is going to show up with that pointy-eared cow any moment now. But Steelsmith is a fortress like none they've ever seen. So, take your positions, and don't forget the elf is mine. I'm going to make slippers out of her ears. Did you hear the rumbling? They're here. I feel it in my right corn. Send out the scouts and prepare the death hammer!
Finally, the time of the great battle was at hand. Thalya's troops had taken the quickest route from the Ashspring swamplands, and they were full of anger and determination to win this final confrontation.
I wouldn't say that. I'm still trying to persuade myself to return to the forces of good.
Okay. A part of Thalya burned with anger and determination to win this final confrontation. Another wanted to form work groups and look after the bonsai garden.
Ugh, ignore my little moments. I'm going to crush that god's damned dwarf. He's made his last stupid comment about elves. I'm going to make gloves out of his beard.
What's this whole thing about everybody using bits of their opponents for slippers or gloves? That's incredibly unhygienic. The time had come. Thalya began to raise a great army for the erratic evil.
Hey, Thalya, open those pointy ears of yours. I have a surprise for you, and hellspawn. Something world-shaking. Come on, men! Fire the Death Hammer!
By the goddess, is that...
Grimly had had a gigantic hammer built. The Death Hammer. This caused not only a disturbance in the force, but also in the ground, causing a massive earthquake. The effect on the dungeon was clearly noticeable. The dungeon heart in particular could only withstand but a few such blows.
How do you like that, you damned evil brood? Now, we just have to take a few minutes to rewind the thing, but it was damn well worth it. Stay and enjoy the show, evil scum!
In his own lovingly insulting manner, Grimly made it clear to Thalya and the perplexed evil that pulling back would not be an option. The giant hammer had to be destroyed.
We can't stay here. That thing has to be destroyed. After analyzing it briefly, I've discovered a great weakness.
Throw something through the 2-meter-wide cooling vent to destroy the reactor?
What? Nonsense! The thing is standing right there, so we can smash it to pieces.
Oh, why did I expect sophisticated tactics when I'm hanging around with bloodthirsty, not exactly intelligent evil creatures?
Daughter, reconsider your deeds. You can still turn back. No one need die today. Except these disgustingly evil creatures, perhaps, but certainly neither Grimly nor you.
This bloke is more stubborn than those phone marketing people who are always trying to get me to buy some shite.
I too think that we should maybe rethink this. It is now time for dwarves to die! So much for your death hammer, Grimly. Oh, did we break your toy? Are you going to cry like a little baby? Boo-hoo-hoo.
You'll pay for that. Don't be giving yourselves any medals yet. The Dwarven Empire will strike back. Of that you can be sure.
We could still solve this peacefully. You? Now? Really? In my moment of triumph? There is nothing you can't ruin, is there? Sorry. Holy crap! You're even good to me! Sister, you have some real issues. I have to go take care of a Dwarven king and tear a city apart. Follow me to Steelsmith!
The Deathly Pale Evil had erected a cemetery. From now on, it could supply its own walking dead. Practically enough, heroes who had kicked the bucket were dropped here and then turned into brainless zombies. As an alternative, banshees could also be inspired to join the Burning Evil's army there. Enemies have entered the dungeon.
Hey, Thalya. Did you really think I didn't have another ace up my sleeve? I had a second Death Hammer built. It will tear your dungeon apart. Move it, men.
Another one of those things? Ah, damn it all anyway. Get ready for impact!
With a kaboom, the second Death Hammer hit on the ground and sent its destructive waves toward the dungeon. The dungeon heart groaned under the blow. This Death Hammer also had to be destroyed quickly in order to save the dungeon heart.
Just to make sure nothing happens to my poor little hammer, I also built an SLD-26 magical tower shield generator. So knock yourselves out!
Generously, the foolish Dwarf King Grimly revealed the safety mechanisms to the listening and taking notes evil. Before the second Death Hammer could be turned off, a team would have to land on Endor. I mean, the eager for a Star War evil had to destroy the magic shield.
Right then, First, we'll destroy the magical tower, and then Death Hammer number 2. No problem. We're good at breaking things. These cowardly dwarves have actually blown up the bridge. I mean, it's good for my ego to be feared that greatly, but how are we going to get through there now?
The half-blind evil had yet to find another way over the demolished bridge. Had it even really searched for one? Needing an alibi, it quickly sent a few creatures swarming out as a vanguard. The having a look around evil's army had discovered a stone heap. Just a little brute force, and it would fall into the ravine to form something like a bridge. Computer game logic.
I'll show you where the hammer hangs. So, second verse, same as the first. Hey! Hands off my SLD-26 magical tower shield generator!
Hey, Grimly, your toys break easily. My pals barely got their hands on it and it broke. So, people, let's have a look at this second Death Hammer, shall we?
Keep your hands to yourself and I'll bite your fingers off, you god's damned wench. Right, men, prepare the Death Hammer!
Grimly seemed a little desperate upon seeing the occasionally gigging as a stand-up comedian evil turned out to be a brilliant strategist. It relentlessly sent its armies towards the second Death Hammer.
Oh, these things are pretty fragile, aren't they? Grimly, I think I accidentally broke both your hammers. I'm so sorry.
I'll strangle you in my bare hands, Gil! You god's damn disgusting!
In order to make sure we don't have to cut out all of Grimly's cursing, I'll just take over here. The brilliant evil had succeeded. The second Dwarven Hammer was also history, and its army marched inexorably towards the dwarven town of Steelsmith. Something else permeated the smell of metalworking that wafted from the city towards the dungeon. The smell of the dwarves' fear.
For good reason, too. We're going to tear their city apart. We could still return to the side of good. Let me think about it for a second. No.
Hey, Thalya, I have a surprise for you. You know that all good things come in threes?
Honestly, do you have another one of those damn Death Hammers?
Hey, Death Hammer. Ha! I have 3 Death Hammers!
What? The whole thing times 3? Not very imaginative, if you ask me. You are so...
Stop! Hammer time!
Together, the 3 Death Hammers had a lot more power than a single one. It would certainly be better for the Dungeon Heart if they too were quickly put out of action.
So, that's the way you want it. I'll take care of you myself. For death and glory, the horn of Grimly Hammerhand shall sound in the deep one last time. Men, let this be the hour when we draw swords together. Now for wrath, now for ruin, and the Red Dawn!
Finally, we meet, Grimly. Your final hour has come. What?
You pay for this? damn brat!
With these words, Grimly, the Dwarven King, breathed his last.
A well-earned victory for evil! Ha! All the legends and stories that revolve around good heroes. Utter nonsense. In the end, evil will always triumph. Time to enjoy my victory.
Thalya, what have you done? You killed Grimly. I will have to punish you for this. Stay where you are. I'll be there in a couple of hours.
Apparently, Tanos was anything but enthusiastic about his foster daughter's deeds. The insightful evil knew that a confrontation was not yet advisable and ordered Thalya to travel west, always west.
We could always wait for Father and try to explain everything to him. Oi, 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 oh, come on. Even my good side can't be that naive. He'll skin me alive if he gets his hands on me. There's no way I should get anywhere near him until his anger has cooled. Oh, unfortunately, I'm afraid I have to agree with my evil me. We should let the grass grow over the whole thing first.
Oh, good and evil in agreement. A rare stroke of luck, I'd say. So it was time to run. Here, the only problem was, as usual, his own death. After the Dwarven King Grimly suffered a premature death at the hands of the hero-beating evil's armies, the dark elf Thalya got herself out of dodge. She took the evil creatures and retreated into the tunnels and mines of Steelsmith, which were connected to the most remote places in the world. The hasty departure proved to be very wise indeed, for shortly afterwards, Tanos appeared on the scene, and with him, a mighty army of good. When he found his dwarven friend's lifeless body, he screamed his pent-up anger out into the world, as overly emotional heroes are often prone to do. A few hours later, Tanos gathered with his 2 remaining comrades and commanders in his tent. We will now repeat approximately what was said. I, the evil will destroy us. We are lost. Wail, wail, and so on. In the end, Tanos called his fellow soldiers to order and commanded them to return to their respective empires and strengthen their defenses. So it was time to do what all good folks do: hide themselves behind thick walls in fear and hope that the storm would pass them by and hit the others. How exceedingly honorable. In the meantime, Tanos sent out some spies to track down his evil student. The Dark Elf had, by then, beaten her way through the mines of Steelsmith, accidentally awakened an army, and fled from a whip-swinging demon. The usual stuff that happens when traveling through dwarven tunnels. At least they had left Tanos and the armies of good far behind them, and now moved almost unmolested through the countryside, determined to continue spreading chaos and horror. The end of Burger's End. After Grimly's inglorious end, the insidious evil's army had gone through the mines of Steelsmith to escape Tanos's armies and his wrath. The old shafts brought them close to the busy town of Burger's End. Thalya and the all-devouring evil's army had left the mines of Steelsmith behind them, far from Tanos and his henchmen. The tunnels brought them close to the city Burger's End, in the Empire's hinterlands. Burger's End was known for its voracious heroes. More specifically, their appetites were wait for it, dairy. They ate so much that the city had to be supplied with food from the surrounding area on a daily basis. True story.
These gluttons are going to be easy. Onwards, creatures of the deviant evil! Give these gourmands their just desserts!
This hasty attack wasn't the best idea, as the what is cannon fodder for evils creatures all too quickly found out. These well-fed warriors proved to be exceedingly powerful and dismembered the advancing horde with terrifying speed.